Hi, I'm James McLennan. This November, Manitoba Opera will mount its first production of the season, the acclaimed American opera Susanna by Carlisle Floyd. Set in a small Tennessee mountain village, Susanna tells the story of a young woman who was denounced as a sinner after a group of church elders find her bathing nude in a creek by her home. Shunned by the townsfolk but unwilling to repent, Susanna is forced into a confrontation with a traveling preacher who has designs on more than just her soul. The title character is one of the most coveted soprano roles in opera, and the star of this production is Lara Ciekiewicz, my friend and fellow Winnipegger. Lara sings across Canada and the US, and I'm really looking forward to sharing the stage with her when she debuts the role of Susanna with her hometown opera company. I recently sat down with Lara to talk about her career, her life in Winnipeg, and what it's like to be an opera singer in Manitoba. So Lara, I was trying to think of the first time we met, and I think it was on Carmen with Opera Lyra
Yes.
in 2013.
Yes.
Yeah. And you were a beautiful Michaela.
Thank you.
And it was great to share the stage with you.
Cool. Thanks.
With
Likewise.
that. And that's why I'm particularly looking forward to that, sharing the stage with you again in Susanna.
Yeah.
Yeah. You grew up in Winnipeg, north of Winnipeg, on a 20-acre property.
Yes.
Close to nature,
Yes. Very lucky.
much like Susanna herself.
In some respects,
In some
yes.
respect.
Yes.
What was that like growing up in the Winnipeg, Manitoba community as an artist?
Music was always a part of my life growing up. I think if you'd asked me when I was like 3 or 4 or 5 what I wanted to be, I want to be a singer.
That early?
Having like zero knowledge about what that meant. And like not an opera singer, like that was not in the thought process at all until much later. It felt like a kid's dream for a long time. That said, parents enrolled me in dancing of all kind. I'm of Ukrainian and Polish heritage. My last name is Polish, but I'm actually 3/4 Ukrainian. So I grew up in the Ukrainian community, Ukrainian dancing and, singing in choir at church. Having that in my life as a kid and being so close to this community and where, art and music is so prevalent and important, that was awesome.
So Lara, you've trained in both Canada and the US.
Yeah.
In the Banff Center and in Maryland.
I did an honors BA at the UW. At that time, I was studying with the amazing Henrietta Schellenberg, and she was the first person I can remember looking at me in a lesson going, I think you might be an opera singer. Right? And in my head, I'm like, what does that mean? I don't know.
You had to come out of the closet.
Yeah. And I took 4 years off to figure out what that meant. And interestingly enough, in terms of circle of life moments, that time off is when I first went to Opera Nuova in Edmonton. And the first role I did was, my gosh, I think it was Mrs. Hayes, one of the elders' wives, in Susanna.
Oh,
which was
fantastic.
my first experience with this show. So crazy how that all comes full circle. I fell in love with the show way back then with no concept of that would ever be part of my professional life.
And then you went to McGill.
I did. Yeah, at Nuova, I had the chance of working with Michael McMahon, amazing pianist and coach in Canada who happens to work at McGill. I thought, you make me sing better than, anybody. And so I thought, all right, I'm going to go audition at McGill and see what happens. It was the only place I auditioned, and by some miracle, I was accepted. And so I got to coach with Michael for 2 years, and also met my wonderful teacher at McGill, Joanne Colomayetz. Did the master's there, and then did 2 years at l'Atelier Lyrique at Montreal Opera, and then came home.
So why make Winnipeg your home? Why come back home? Why be a singer in Winnipeg?
Because it is home, I'm a prairie girl at heart. It's a magnificent city to be an artist in.
Yeah.
On a practical level, it's still pretty affordable to live here,
Definitely.
and that's definitely a consideration. But more than that, the artistic community here is fantastic. Music, visual art, dancing, you name it. We have it here.
Yeah.
What the city supports and what the city holds important in terms of the arts and culture, bringing together people of all walks of life through the arts. And I think that's really important and a wonderful feeling to be a part of as an artist. And then it feels like home,
Yeah. So the other day you were in a coaching with Valdine Anderson.
Yes.
Valdine has performed the role of Susanna
She
before.
has.
Talk about a star at home, right?
Yeah.
Valdine has done all over the world with the biggest houses and biggest name conductors
Yeah.
and orchestras everywhere. What was it like to work with Val and to have that resource here at home?
Well, it's awesome to have the resource, at your fingertips, so to speak. She said going through that score was quite nostalgic for her and, brought back so many wonderful memories.
Was it enough text up there?
Yeah.
Because
Don't worry, we've heard you say it. Come back.
Yeah, everybody gets it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Nope. All we want is we
It's
just
pretty
want you to
sound.
be beautiful. There.
It's Manitoba singing, Susanna.
I mean, Val has amazing ears. She's kind, but she's direct. And, when she hears things that could be better, she, expresses that. And that's when I go into a coaching, that's what I want. I'm there to get better, and you have to confront the things that need the work.
Well, you're really natural. I understand everything. You're not going on a big trip when you go up there.
I try not to. Probably sometimes to my detriment. I should probably
No.
sometimes.
No. You know what? It's great because we hear all the colors in your voice
Yeah.
when you're up there, as well as understanding the text. It's a lot more vital. So.
And funnily enough, as fate would have it, our director is the same. So Kelly Robinson directed her as Susanna in Calgary, and he's our director here in Winnipeg, which is just fantastic.
So Floyd wrote an opera that's cinematic in its scope, I think.
Yes.
And in the music.
Yes.
What is it about the music of Susanna and the story of Susanna that moves you?
Oof. I mean, at the heart of it, I think we're talking about the moment when innocence is lost or stolen. And that sometimes when things get stolen, they can be given back. But innocence is something that cannot be given back once it's lost.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting goosebumps just talking about that. An innocent woman being brought down by men who are senior in the community to her. What can we take away and understand about why that happened, and did it have to happen, and how mob mentality can play a huge role,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden we start to shut off our critical thinking.
So it sounds like the themes of this opera are pretty relevant in today's world, especially with the rise of the Me Too movement. How do you think audiences today will react to this opera as opposed to maybe the ones that would have seen it in the 1950s when it was written?
Good question. I think when we start to talk about movements like Me Too, they aren't necessarily showing that more of that is happening, just that we are now able to talk about it. So I think for the people in the audience, it's an unfortunate reminder and a necessary reminder of the more things change, the more they have stayed the same.
Right.
And so if this opera can be an invitation for further dialogue and understanding how much this is still present in our culture, that we can, there's still so far to go. I want it to be a part of the call to action. We all have responsibility in changing things for the better and allowing people to tell their stories, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard.
Yeah. So how does the character Susanna resonate with you? What have you discovered in preparing this role about yourself?
I think I relate to her sense of wonder for the world around her, and that beauty can be found everywhere. That sort of seems to represent possibility, and that there's always something out there that's wonderful, even in the smallest things. In her first big aria in Ain't It a Pretty Night, she talks about the light of fireflies in the night sky and the vastness of the mountains, and my gosh, what more could there be out there to explore and understand? I did a summer in Brevard in North Carolina in the Appalachian Mountains on a particularly beautiful night. We'd finished rehearsing late, and we were all staying on campus in dorms, and so it got dark as you walked away from the buildings towards the dorms and looked up, and amazing clear night sky, and you see all the tall trees. And the stars just twinkling away, and I thought, if I ever sing Susanna, like, I will know exactly what Ain't It a Pretty Night is about, because I just experienced it in the place. It's something about the sky there just sparkles. It's magic.
Well, I bet audiences are going to have a wonderful time hearing you and seeing you reinterpret that moment of your life for us on stage in Susanna.
Yeah.
Thanks for sitting down with me today. It's been great.
Thanks, Jamie.
Really appreciate it.
No.
We'll see you on stage.
Yeah.